So, you're planning to study abroad? Then you've probably run into that four-letter acronym that can feel like a huge wall, TOEFL. But what if it's not a wall at all? What if it's actually a doorway? In this explainer, we're going to crack the code of the entire test, turning that obstacle into a clear, totally manageable step on your journey. Let's get right into it.
You know, when you strip everything else away, the entire TOEFL is built to answer one simple question for universities. It's not trying to trick you with some obscure grammar rule. It's just asking, are you ready to learn, discuss, and write in a classroom where everything, I mean everything, happens in English? That's it. That is the whole game.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics, what the TOEFL even is. Then, we'll deconstruct the test section by section. After that, we'll dive into what your score really means, help you make the right choice for your situation, and finally, lay out a clear path to success.
Okay, first things first, let's kind of reframe how we think about this test. The TOEFL isn't just another exam you have to get through. Think of it as your university passport. It's the credential that proves to schools all over the world that you've got the English skills to jump in and succeed from day one.
So the full name, Test of English as a Foreign Language, pretty much tells the whole story. It's run by ETS, that's the same American organization behind big tests like the GRE. So yeah, they know what they're doing. And just so you know, when a university asks for the TOEFL, they're almost always talking about the IBT, the internet-based test, which is the standard pretty much everywhere.
All right, let's pull back the curtain and take a little tour of the TOEFL IBT. Seriously, understanding the structure is the first and probably most important step to feeling confident when test day finally rolls around.
The whole test is built around 4 core skills, and you'll get it all done in about 2 hours. It actually used to be longer, so this new shorter format is a huge relief for everyone. It's broken down into 4 distinct sections, with each one targeting a really specific academic skill.
First up is reading. You're going to face 2 academic passages, pretty similar to what you'd find in a first-year university textbook. You've got about 35 minutes for both, so the challenge isn't just understanding the material, it's being efficient. They're testing if you can quickly nail down the main idea, find key details, and figure out what vocabulary means just from the context.
Next up, it's time for the listening section. You'll hear clips from university lectures and some typical campus conversations. And listen, here's a pro tip that can make all the difference. You are allowed to take notes. You've got to use them. It is an absolute game changer for remembering those key details before you have to answer the questions.
Then comes the speaking section. Now, I know this one can be intimidating, but it's super structured. You'll speak into a microphone for 4 different tasks. There's no live examiners staring at you. The integrated tasks are really the core of it. You'll read a little, listen to a clip, and then speak your answer. You'll only get a few seconds to prepare, which is exactly why practicing the specific format of these tasks is absolutely critical.
And finally, you've got the writing section, where you'll type out 2 essays. The first one is another integrated task. You'll read a passage, listen to a lecture on the same topic, and then kind of weave them together. The second task is actually a pretty cool, modern update. You get to participate in an online academic discussion, which simulates exactly what you'd be doing in a real university class.
So, you've made it through all 4 sections. Phew! What happens next? Let's decode the scoring system so you know what those numbers you get back really mean to the admissions officers looking at your application.
The scoring system is thankfully pretty simple. Each of the 4 sections is weighted equally, and they're all scored from 0 to 30. Then those are just added together for your total score, out of a possible 120. This balance means you really can't afford to neglect any single skill. Consistent performance across the board is what you're aiming for.
So, what score should you be aiming for? Well, requirements vary, but a pretty good general guide is that anything over 80 is considered acceptable for a lot of undergraduate programs. Hitting the 90s is strong, and a score over 100 is considered excellent. But here's the key takeaway. For those top-tier universities or for graduate programs, that 100-plus score is often the benchmark you really need to hit.
And here's a really critical piece of logistical info. Your score is only valid for 2 years. Why? Well, universities want a current, accurate picture of your English skills. This means you have to time your test date really carefully to make sure it lines up with your application deadlines.
Now that you get the test and the scoring, let's talk strategy. You have some pretty important choices to make before you even register. And believe me, they can have a big impact on your whole experience.
Okay, so you have 2 main options. You can go to a traditional test center, or you can take the home edition. The test itself is identical. A test center gives you that controlled environment, which minimizes any technical risks. The home edition offers comfort and convenience, but you are responsible for your tech working perfectly. The most important rule here? Always double-check that your target universities accept the home edition, because some still don't.
Of course, the TOEFL isn't your only option. Its main rival is the IELTS, and the choice between them really just comes down to personal preference. Ask yourself, are you more comfortable typing and speaking to a microphone in an American academic setting? Then go with TOEFL. Or do you prefer writing by hand and speaking to a live person with more of a global English focus? IELTS might be a better fit. As a general rule, TOEFL is the go-to for the US and Canada, while IELTS is more common in the UK and Australia.
We've covered the what, the how, and the where. Now, for the most important part, building your path to success. And this is all about smart strategy, not last-minute stress.
First things first, we need to clear the air. There are so many myths floating around about the TOEFL that cause so much unnecessary anxiety. Let's just tackle them head on, shall we?
Okay, listen up. You do not need an American accent. Speaking faster will not get you a higher score, and stuffing your essays with complex vocabulary you don't really understand will actually hurt your score. The truth is simple. Both the human raters and the AI are trained to reward one thing above all else: clear, well-organized communication. That's it.
So, how long do you actually need to prepare? Be realistic with yourself. If your English is at a beginner level, give yourself a solid 3 to 6 months. If you're intermediate, plan for 1 to 3 months. And hey, if you're already an advanced speaker, you can probably get test ready in just 2 to 4 weeks by focusing purely on test strategy.
Here's a proven 5-step plan. 1. Take an official diagnostic test to find your baseline score. 2. Learn the templates for speaking and writing. They give you a reliable structure every single time. 3. Do all your practice under timed pressure. 4. Record your own speaking responses so you can actually hear what you sound like and analyze them. And finally, number 5, consistently work on building your academic vocabulary. For all of this, stick to the official prep materials from ETS. They are, by far, the most accurate.
Let's end with this. The TOEFL isn't a test of how smart you are. It's a performance. It's about proving that you can listen to a lecture and get it, that you can participate in a class discussion, and that you can write a clear, structured essay. It's a practical demonstration of skills you probably already have. So the only real question is, are you ready to show them what you can do?